I'm live. It's alive. We're here. It's Friday, October 11th, and almost halfway through the month already. I don't know where the time goes, but here we are. Happy to be here. Happy to be upright and above ground and all those good things. Thank you for being here. We've got people trickling in already. And in spite of it being to be announced just a few minutes before we started, y'all are still here. So thank you for joining me. And Rob is saying, it's so strange to see me in full 16 by 9. Yeah, that's right. So live and in Technicolor. Yeah, maybe I should zoom my screen out a little bit so it's not so hi. Me right there. But thank you all for coming to join the IT hour today. I figured that since we've been talking about cybersecurity awareness, and we will continue to do so all month long, that I would actually spend a little bit of time this week just talking a little bit more about it in depth and going over some of the themes we've been covering and see if any of y'all had any things you wanted to share today about what you've been doing around security and how you're working to secure your businesses in this time where we're a little more aware of it. I mean, we're always aware of it, but focusing a little more heavily on it this month. Lots of themes going around. And you'll notice that we've even been sharing a lot more of security topics in our socials and all that jazz. So hopefully you're paying attention and doing some things around that. I've been having a lot of compliance conversations with customers recently. Been doing a lot of case studies, and we're talking a lot about compliance in particular. So I hope that y'all are thinking about those things. Good morning, Stephen. Let's see, Rob. Alan said hello earlier. People are just trickling in, and maybe not quite enough coffee to say hello and everything, but I'm going to say hi to y'all. We've got Sanisa, Matt. Hey, Chris and Roger. We got some of my co-conspirators from the company here on in the audience, which Chris, if you want to talk about security, you're welcome to come on stage and we could chit chat about that a little bit. Let's see, we've got Andrew, Sonia, Tom, Lou, Jacob. I see some regular faces, and we've got our network administrator. Someone has chosen that as their screen name. So thanks for joining. Jesse, Brian, Josh, Eduardo, Jan, or Jan. One of these days I'm going to have to ask you which pronunciation that is. Josh, Lindsay, Mike, Emily, Jamie, Robert Kelly. So Stephen, Carol, we've got a lot of friends on here today. Not enough coffee, Rob says. Not enough. I'm on my fourth since 8:45 a.m. Central. Well, is it one shot, two shots, three shots? How far are you into the coffee? And Jamie's saying, doing a lot of security stuff, third-party add-ons galore, plus SaaS management through JumpCloud. Woohoo! Speaking of SaaS management, I am going to mention that during product updates, but next week, Sirhat is going to be a guest on the show, and we are going to talk a lot more about SaaS management. He's going to give a demo and be ready for questions and things like that. So definitely be ready for that. Bring your questions, anything you want to talk about there, because I've prepped him, of course, to be ready for questions. And of course, he's been on the show before, so he will be ready for that. But I'm really looking forward to talking more about SaaS management and what we have in store. Rob says work won't buy an espresso machine. Well, I kind of bought one of my own. I braved that one social networks marketplace and bought one that was fresh out of the box and everything, and I've been using it for about a year and a half now, and I'm liking it, but I also occasionally do the instant espresso, the ones with the green green jar top, and, that's kind of nice every once in a while if I really wanna kick. Mac Lemur's out of Bailey, so no coffee for them. Oh, I'm sorry. No coffee for you because it has to have Baileys in it. Yeah, some days are like that, especially Fridays. Steven, yes, I do, work remotely. As you can tell in my little background here, that's not quite normal office background, so, we are a remote first company. Majority of us work remotely, although we do have, an office in Colorado where some of our colleagues work from there when they want to and when we have meetings there. So, let's see. So Rob says best worst purchase for home was absolutely an espresso machine, but it's not going in the community kitchen there. No, I don't blame you. That would be like making it at home and taking a giant travel mug into the office and reheating. And Steven says, wish I could at least be hybrid. Yeah, I used to work in an office that's actually just up the street from me, one of the big tech companies here locally. And so I could pick and choose when I went into the office, which was kind of nice. Thanks for the mention of my hair, Jamie. It's definitely fun. Lots of fun colors in it. Deciding what I'm gonna do next, but it definitely makes it fun with Halloween coming up because it adds to the costumes and stuff like that. And, Rob, I'm not sure what the Aldi brand Bailey's is, because we here, state-run liquor stores, so we can't really get stuff like that here. It would have to be bought directly from the great state o North Carolina. So, interesting. And once again, as I tell a lot of people to when they're planning on joining the show, I always tell them, uh, we talk a lot about different types of food and drinks, and, I mean, it's really close to lunchtime here, so of course I'm gonna talk about food, and I've got my coffee cup. This time I chose this one because I got it when I was at, Penn State over the summer, so breaking it in and, drinking my coffee out of this one. It's chilly here. I don't know about y'all, but it was 45 degrees this morning, so we're finally getting that fall chill, and it's kinda nice to be, feeling like there's actual weather instead of just hot, and so I'm happy about that. Tell me what y'all are gonna be doing this weekend in the chat here. We've got the SAS Championship locally, which is, one of the local analytics companies, and they sponsor a golf tournament every year at this time, and, gonna go check that out for a little bit, this weekend, just maybe one of the days. And although I'm not like a huge golf person, it's probably more interesting to go see it in person than it is just watch it on TV. Um, just because it's kind of boring on TV, but when you're around people and hearing them cheer for the different folks and, when everybody has to be silent at the same time, and then when it's done, they're all cheering and clapping and stuff. It just makes it more interesting than sitting there on the TV and hearing the boring commentators. Not nearly as fun. Well, Ross, speaking of, sass, you probably are one of the, uh, queens of kings of sass. Choose whether it's king or queen of sass, definitely. So, but it's SAS, SAS. They are a local privately held company, but a very large local employer, really well respected, and, they do a lot, around here, and, Gosh, I'm not even sure how old the company is, but very well respected. Yes. Thank you for taking that in the spirit it was intended and laughing at that. So, and Steven says low key weekend, spending it with family. That's good. Nikolai is visiting New York office and leaving back to France today. Well, I'm glad you're in the same time zone for once. That's nice for you to get to visit in the morning hours instead of late afternoon for once. And I don't know if SAS is an airline, Ms. Lemer. Let's see. I would have to look. It maybe if it's overseas or up in Canada. I'm not sure. Oh, yes, I have seen it as a shoe company, but, no, Scandinavian Airlines. I see what you're talking about. And Steven was supposed to be on a cruise, but with recent events, glad I moved it. Yeah, I can't blame you there. It's just been looking at the radar and seeing all that movement out in the, Atlantic and, all the other parts of the ocean and just how many storms are going through there. I think it's good to maybe be on dry land as well. Don't blame you at all there. So, all right, keep those comments coming. I'm going to flip over to my agenda and see what we got here. Sorry, those are some of my Midwesternisms coming out. So, I uh, it happens every once in a while. I apologize in advance. So, couple of things in the community, serial number not being reported to Jump Cloud from a new version of Windows. That is a script from N. Carmichael, and it is about reinstalling WMI with a command, and they've put that in there for anyone who might be looking for it. And my colleague Sean, not the normal Sean that I talk about a lot, Sean Song. This is our other Sean, Sean, Sean Blanton, goes by Blantron in the community, which I think is a fun nom de web. And he posted actually about Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I told you we're talking about it a lot. And he actually wants to know, instead of talking about work and everything you're doing for Cybersecurity Awareness Month, he's asking about what you are doing personally about protecting yourself with security. And so he has posted a question in the community if you want to go by and answer that, maybe talk about like what are you doing, in your household with your family, like trying to get everybody to do, things more safely. I mean, we've talked before about how do you get kids, teenagers, parents, especially if you have aging parents, like how are you keeping them from falling for scams and keeping them safe and things like that. So, yeah, Ross says continue to encourage parents to use one password instead of a spreadsheet, especially if it's not a password protected spreadsheet. So, and somebody put a melty face on that one, like, so definitely. And so feel free to jump in the community. I will post these links in the show recap. I will have links to the IT Hour transcripts, link to the Slack Lounge, and I'm just starting to make sure that I add links to the Make Work Happen podcast because that is relatively new, and I'm trying to do a better job of promoting and sharing that, putting that link in the chat because we just had one come out last Tuesday. And this coming Tuesday, we're going to have another one. And it is actually about Cybersecurity Month. And I had an interview with an acquaintance of mine who talks a lot about cybersecurity. And that was a really fun discussion around different pieces of awareness and her take on some of the themes around Cybersecurity Month. And so that was a good, fun conversation. And it is really hard to keep that like around 15 minutes or so when there's so much to talk about. And she's a great expert. And so that was a lot of fun. So, Kelly says, I've been trying to chat up the shiny new passwords app on iOS 18. It's better than the WXYZ section of their paper address book. Uh, yeah. So, I'm glad you're messing around with that, Kelly. I do have some interesting things to talk about in the news section of some of the newer stuff on iOS. And, well, that's really interesting, and we'll get to that a little bit later. And Cleomar says, dropping by to say that we continue to be very satisfied with JumpCloud and appreciate y'all behind all of this. Leads us to be HIPAA and SOC 2 compliant. Yay! I'm so glad to hear that. And thank you for sharing that. That is wonderful. And I know that several of my colleagues will be glad to see that too. And in fact, like I said earlier, a couple of them are hanging out in the audience. So they will be glad to see that. Ross says, to be fair, the threat of a password book for parents is probably pretty low. Someone breaking into a house isn't going to be looking for the book of passwords. Well, I will not comment about, um, you know, what my family does, just to not reveal those security practices. But they, mm, it could be better. Sorry, Dad, because I know I'm going to get a call later um, once he watches this. And Rob says, took a while, but my mom knows that if she doesn't listen, then something goes down. She's not getting any help. Took one virus attack about 20 years ago, and she's not made that mistake since. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, 20 years ago, learned a lesson and has been more careful since then. That's pretty amazing. So good job, Rob, of scaring the compliance into her doing better since then. Um, Stephen, I tried to use the simplest passwords, especially for my bank. Um, nice. What way to confuse the bad guys there. With you, Ross, it's hard to convince parents sometimes. It is because sometimes it's convenience over anything else. So we really have to reiterate over and over to really any and everyone. It might be other people in the household. It might be um, friends or people that aren't in it every day, like a lot of y'all are, and even just being um, talking to as many people as I talk to, and being in it enough every day to have enough knowledge to know that so much goes into this, and how easily things can go sideways if you're not careful, if you don't have that diligence. Um, like getting a test email from um, your IT team just to make sure that you've been paying attention to the training and things like that. We've with other orgs, or when I've gone to kind of simulations and trainings for tabletop exercises, people will share their best practices and stuff, and we've gone through scenarios of what a tabletop exercise should look like, and people share that they use the typical things like I think some of you all have talked about using know before and other things like that, like just having people pay attention to the training and be aware and actually follow what they're supposed to be doing. And I think it was a couple of days ago, I got this email purporting to be from the Social Security Administration, and your Social Security number has been suspended. I'm like, huh, really? That's interesting. But I could see how someone not aware might mildly panic for a moment if they don't know better. Oh no, what did I do? And then stop and think about, oh, wait, they don't do things that way. But an older parent might, or relative, doesn't have to be a parent. I'm not picking on anybody's parents. Um, could look at it and just not know if they're not well practiced in how things have changed over the last several years. They just might not know or might not realize, oh, this is fake. Because even when you know something is fake, you might get that half second of, oh, no, that's not real. But just for a brief second, you kind of panic at what's wrong, what's happening, before you catch yourself and realize, okay, I know this is fake, but just like that moment of somebody telling you you did something wrong, even though you know you didn't. So, and Kelly's saying, when passwords are hard to type, it makes people less likely to type them. Autofilling something long and complex makes it easier for them to be long and complex. You are very right, Kelly, and that's definitely where those password managers come in and help tremendously. And Jamie says, as soon as JumpCloud does a DTC offering, I'm hopping on password manager. All right. So I hope that you definitely already put that in as I need like bells ringing and stuff. Feature request. Ding, 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 ding. I mean, it has to get mentioned at least once a show, right? So we've met our quota. Ross, step 1, teach them that every password should be different. Yes. Yes. And I believe last week, um where did my document go? Last week was use strong passwords and a password manager. That was the theme that we talked about for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So that is a good part of that one. And then Rob says, if they did this, they only needed to remember one password, the one for their recovery email account. Yeah, so if you get people to use a password manager, they just need to remember the main one to get into the password manager, and then all those other ones can be like a passphrase is a good idea, because then the other ones in there can be long and weird and something that's hard to remember, and it's not as critical that all those random characters are in there, because their password manager can help be their memory. And Kelly says, teaching, you don't have to type them, and so they can all be different, sometimes gets a little more traction. Yeah, hopefully. And let's see, our network administrator friend says, set up ABM and supervise all the kids' iDevices using MDM. Aha, there you go. That's a good way to do it. I probably need to do that with my kiddos. I think that could be helpful. Stephen uses the same ultra secure password on their luggage. There you go. Oh, Kelly, you just ruined Stephen's security. So now, sorry, Stephen, you're going to have to change your password. Oh. All right. Why isn't my thing scrolling down here? And Rob says, yes, for my email thing there, sent from Gmail account. I'll have to go back and look and see what it was, because it was some weirdly worded thing anyway. And Jamie says quarterly fish test. Yes, that is an excellent idea. Ross. Even better, getting a call as a Canadian about your social security number. Oh, no. What will you do? And I think y'all have what is it? A SIN instead of an SSN? I think I saw a conversation about that the other day because someone was saying something about that, and I'm like, what's an SIN?" And they capitalized it, meaning that they were specifically talking about, like, a taxpayer ID of some sort, and I'm like, "What is that?" But figured it out. You can only unlock it with your driver's license. Oh, yeah, and your mother's maiden name. All of those are required in order to, reset everything back to the way it was. When the legit ones are done so poorly, you spend half an hour determining if it is actually legit. I did get a text one time, and I had to figure out if it really was legit or not from, an organization, and after some digging, it turned out it was. It wasn't asking me for anything, it was just like an alert, and I'm going, "I don't know if this is correct or not." Like, I wasn't expecting a text from any sort of person, so then when I did get it, I was very skeptical, and I'm like, "I don't know if this is real or not." So I guess my training has worked on me because even when it was legit, I didn't think it was. So 2 of the biggest reasons honored citizens are a target-rich environment are landlines with a lack of caller ID to show spam risk and social conditioning, and it's rude to hang up on someone. Um, yeah, I think that there is a conditioning that it's rude to hang up on people the same way that, people stepping up on your porch and ringing your doorbell. Just someone standing there and waiting and ringing your doorbell a couple times, especially in the South and a little bit in the Midwest, but especially here in the South, it's people feel obligated to talk to someone who comes to their door. And maybe it's just because growing up in more remote parts of the Midwest, if it's someone you don't know, if it's not family or a friend, and then on top of that, living in California for so long, I'm just like, if I wasn't expecting you and I don't know you, mm, I really don't care if you stand out there and ring my doorbell several times. I don't owe you my time. So therefore, you can hang out there all you want and I just won't answer the door. And yeah, maybe that's part of the introvert in me and maybe that's part of just I'm at the age now where I care a lot less about whether or not I'm being super nice. The joys of getting older, you feel less obligated. That's the nice way of putting it. So, um, Rob, I'm going to ignore the typo and not make fun of you for it because I know that was probably just a mistake and say looking at you, UPS, because I'm pretty sure that's what you meant. Notification about a credit card charge for an account with no credit card on file and then sent from a third party email. Yeah, with no matching records. I get so many of those from a fake PayPal notification like, "Oh, payment sent from your PayPal account. Thanks for your order." And I'm like, "Nope, nope, didn't order anything. Not gonna fall for that." So, there you go. It happens a lot. Oh, yeah, we did talk a little bit about this, last week. My dear lemur, NIST is looking at changing the rules for passwords. Yes. And we did have an in-depth conversation about that. I think some organizations are going to take a little while before they kind of roll into that. Different places have different requirements for whatever they have going on. But yes, that will be quite nice. Looking forward to that around and y'all I know I'm running way behind on what you all are doing. There's like 13 messages, but I'm just trying to work my way through all of them because you've got some good stuff in here about the various things going on. And yes, we hope that that goes through and more people do start complying with those. And yes, Kelly, passphrase because that that hopefully helps people understand that it doesn't have to be a bunch of random letters and numbers, making it harder for people to, figure out how to remember it. A passphrase just means, you can do something that would make it harder for someone to figure out, but slightly easier for you to, remember it. Let's see. And Kelly says, security trainings, I tell people to use a passphrase for something aspirational like typing, I run marathons in some interesting way. So you are saying it to yourself multiple times a day. Yeah. And that's a good, definitely a good affirmation if you want to change a habit, um, or something like that. So very nice. Although, if you use Jump Cloud Go, I'm just saying that you don't necessarily have to type that multiple times a day, and it's awesome. All right. So, Ross is, I'm probably going to make that mistake more than once. I apologize, you guys. Your names are just first part of the word is close enough that I'm just going to make that mistake multiple times, and I'm just going to apologize now. SIN, social insurance number. That's what it was. There's Chris. He's finally, piping up in the chat here. Greetings from the UK. Password managers are a fantastic solution, and the UK Cybersecurity Agency has advised against password rotations and complexity for years, and NIST are finally following suit. So, yes, you all are ahead of so many things in the grand scheme of privacy and stuff like that. So, and Rob says, and in 6 years, auditing services such as PCI compliance will finally update their requirements. So, yeah, that's one reason why some folks are unable to make those updates as quickly as they would like because of PCI and credit card processing. I'm sorry, Rob. I know that just annoys you. Let's see. And yes, Ross, you're absolutely right. Halloween in North America, then you answer the door. But there are cute costumes, so it makes it more fun to answer the door. And we still have 20 days for that, so we still have time. And Jamie, I'm glad I'm not alone on answering the door, or phone or text. If I don't know you, I'm not answering. So let's see. Rob, maybe exactly what you do instead of looking. Too true. Yes, I am wading through the snark backlog. I'm trying to keep up, but it's just me. Y'all are too much fun. I can't do. I guess it's chat rupsy. Although it could be crowd rupsy, but that sounds like a terrible disease that you don't want to get. So snark rupsy. So companies doing 2FA wrong. A bank that requires non-SMS based 2FA but requires that you use Authy. It's tied specifically to it as a non-TOTP based one. Oh dear. Ouch. I would not want to be doing business with them. I don't think that would make it very painful. Yeah, Jamie's like, let's all go open accounts at that bank. And Scott, hey Scott, it's always the banks. Why are they the ones that are further behind than everybody else? There's an especially toasty place downstairs for whoever at Adobe decided you can only use their own proprietary 2FA app. Yes, we will wish bad things on those that insist that you I mean, now if they had that and you could also use the 2FA of your choice, maybe not as bad, but to force us to download yet another app. Like, at this point, it's just appception, and I'm kinda tired of it. Like, I get it, but why do I need an app just for scanning your QR code? Like, I was looking at a coffee machine last night, and it said, "Tap the screen or scan the QR code to download our app." I'm like, I'm not gonna scan a random QR code just because. Same thing with somebody handing their physical business card, and they had a QR code on it. It's like, again, I'm I'm not going to scan every single QR code. I'm just kind of like, I like QR codes. I think they're super convenient for being able to pull up a lot of information all at once, but there are times when I don't want to, even though we use them for things when we're, giving out stuff at, like, we might be at a conference or something, and we might have a QR code for people to go directly to the community, and we can brand it. We can put, like, our logo behind it, and it's cool, but we will also say where it's going. Like, we will tell you where it's going. Like, we're not just gonna necessarily randomly give one. Maybe I've just gotten overloaded, and now you've got grouchy, old lady Becky who's gonna shout at the clouds like Grandpa Simpson. So, well, there you go. Now you've done it. At that point of the day. Um, let's see. Same bank that has a special browser requirement you have to use to access their site. It's an outdated Firefox ESR with branding, and the SMS only allows one number, and that number can't even be used by a personal account with the same bank. I don't even know what to say there, Rob. And then Kelly says, "You need MFA." Okay. No, not like that. Let's see how the government of Canada is doing it. They'll mail you a 2FA to you you mean, they'll physically mail you via snail mail? The revenue agency on account setup asks you for line numbers on your previous tax submissions. I'm, like, lucky I can find that to be able to, put it on my next year's taxes. I mean, I can, but it takes me a while. Download our app for your machine is just part of that internet of generation of technology. Not everything needs to be an app or connected to the internet. And Kelly says, "What are y'all using for 2FA? If it's an app separate from your password manager." Aw, Jamie. I love the plug. JC Protect, of course. Yay. And Rob says Protect or Authy. Um, and Rob says the IRS, if you're doing online setup for the first time, snail mails you a PIN. Rob, it has been so many years that I've completely forgotten about that. Although it feels like um I was able to generate that online, but maybe not, because I did set it up well before a lot of that was before being able to verify stuff online was a thing. So they probably did. And then I've used the same one since, but I swear when they ask me, verify the amount you earned last year so that you can verify who you are, verify the amount you earned last year on this year's return so we can pull in your data. I'm like, I remember the exact amount. You're going to make me go find my previous return and go put it in here. State of West Virginia also uses USPS to validate people before you can create an account. Well, I'm glad you like it, Scott. I'm just gonna shake my fist at the world about everything because it all annoys me. So there you go. Um, Jamie says, stupidly multiple. We have a lot of SaaS providers with insert DEM requirement here. So Protect plus Google Auth plus Duo plus Microsoft Auth. Ooh, ouch. That's a lot of different apps to have. And sometimes same where I will forget which like you can set up MFA on Facebook and some other um social networks if you want to. And then when they ask me to plug in a number, I'm like, which app did I where did I set that up again? Which authenticator was that? And for the life of me, I have to go through every single one of them till I can find the thing to use it. So what about two Bitwarden accounts? One for passwords and the other one just for codes. Yes, which one's which? Let me just play roulette. And Scott is using that other place I won't name. No, Okta for work accounts and Google Authenticator for personal. And yeah, I've used Authenticator for some of my personal accounts and stuff, but then I can never remember if that's actually where I did it or not, or whether I have it set up some other way. And you know, it's just all confusing. All confusing. All right, so back to we've talked a lot about passwords and password managers, and this week's theme is actually about multi-factor authentication, and that is one of the many ways to try and work on being more secure. Of course, the whole theme for the month is secure our world, which I think is apropos. But then the other two that we will talk a little bit about, next week and the week after, just so we have like a quick PSA around security awareness. Theme 3 is recognize and report phishing, which, hey, we talked a little bit about that. Because I think it is important for people to be able to figure those out. I've been getting a lot of things from, and I don't know if it's just in general or because I used to live in California, but I've been getting these things saying, oh, you have a toll that's past due. And if you don't pay it, you're going to be charged this very large sum in late fees. And so a while back, I had gotten one. And then now I'm getting a ton of them. Like I got like 3 or 4 in a row yesterday from different phone numbers, different people saying, hi, this is so and so. And you've got a toll like from, it might be from the Bay Area or it might be from somewhere else. Although I think they're focusing on the Bay Area. You've got this fine that you haven't paid. And I'm like, that's funny. I don't drive in that area. Therefore, I can't have a toll there. Um, the funny thing is it'll be for a pretty small amount that they want you to go and sign in and pay, or else, if you don't pay it by this date, you'll have like extra dollars in penalties. And they're trying to scare people into doing it. And I think what they're probably doing is like charging a lot of fees just to pay that under $10. So the last time it happened, I went through and reported it to the Bay Area Authority because I found a place online that talked about these scams. And so I reported it to like 3 different sites that you can. But this time I just went ahead and deleted and reported to junk because it takes a lot of time to do that. But I probably should report them and try and get them shut down. But I swear, I also got a bunch of hiring, scams as well. Oh, this is, TikTok recruiting, and this is such and such recruiting, and we think your profile is great, and we would like to talk to you. I'm like, funny though, I didn't apply for any of those positions, so No. And what is concerning, about the recruiting things is there are a lot of people out there who have been unemployed for a while, and they are really needing to get an income, and I know a couple of people in particular that, maybe they have a spouse who is earning money, but they really need that other income, and as it goes on longer and longer, they're really getting pressure from said spouse to go get a job, and that pressure over time makes them more susceptible to scammy situations. Um, and as someone gets more anxious, they're more likely to miss a clue that something's not right. Um, and also, I'm still seeing people applying for jobs and then getting being asked to, "We're gonna send you some money. You take that and go buy your equipment, and then whatever's left over, you send back to us." Like, I'm still seeing people ask if that's legit. Like they actually have to ask if that's legit. Like, I've been seeing it long enough now that I just immediately know, well, that's, you know, they're basically going to, you know, send you that money and then do a chargeback, and then you're out the money and the buying of the equipment and then whatever money you sent them back. So, you lose extra money out of that. And I've seen people talk about that enough times that, a lot of us know it's a scam, right? But what concerns me is people who have maybe stayed home for a long time or have just been out of work for a long time for whatever reason. Maybe they had a like some sort of small job from home, like maybe selling things or something, like some of those home sales jobs. And then they decided that they need to do some other type of work, and they see one of these things and they start, going through the process, and then they stop and go, "Is this legit?" Because they haven't been exposed to those things before, and they think it's too good to be true, or they want it to be true, and then they start thinking about it more and have to ask the question, "Is this okay?" Instead of just immediately knowing that it's okay, and that's not okay. And that's what really concerns me is that there are still a lot of people out there that don't realize that many of these scams are scams, and it just I feel so bad for them that they almost fall for these things. And Kelly saying, had a client who had someone impersonate them and post fake job listings. I'm seeing accounts of that a lot. They ask us why someone would do that, and all I can come up with is that they're using it to scam people. You got the job, let's set up your direct deposit. Yes. Or, money laundering. They send someone, a fake cashier's check or something. Then they get the person to deposit the check and um, get ready to buy some equipment, and then they send them more money than the person's going to need, and then they ask the person to send them back the overspend, so that they're then pulling back that money and getting them to send them back whatever extra $1,000 or something. So that person is getting hit doubly with sending them money, getting all the fees hit where something bounces, and then they get all of these extra things. Possibly they've shared their social security number, if they've filled out any sort of paperwork and things like that. Like we're hearing of a lot of people being asked to share their social security number on an application. And it's like, "Whoa, whoa, no. Who's gonna ask you that before you've even, been vetted or even offered a job?" But apparently Some some legit companies are asking that, and some scammers are asking that too, and then it's like, "No, don't, if a company does ask you that, it'd be like, No, I'm not sharing that to you right now, not at all, not until, it's further down the line." I've even had a bank call me or a credit card company call me and say, "Hey, we've got some things going on and we need to check with you on this. Can you verify the last four of your social?" And I'm like, "No." "Well, we need to make sure that this is legit." And I'm like, "No, you called me out of the blue and I wasn't expecting your call. And there's absolutely no way that I'm just going to verify my social security number with someone that I don't know. And I don't know if you're actually calling me from the finance company. Don't know if you're legit. Don't know if this is correct or any of that. So no, I'm not going to verify my info if I wasn't expecting your call." And they actually get offended. Sorry. You can't ask me to verify my social with you to verify that I'm the person on the account when I didn't know you were going to call me. Like, if I ask you to call me, that's one thing, but nope. I don't know if any of you have ever had that happen where they've literally called you out of the blue and asked for that type of information and then gotten annoyed when you didn't verify it like they wanted you to. I'm like, "Sorry, that's my security practice is I'm not going to give you my information just because you ask for it. Sorry." So, I don't know how y'all handle it. Uh, okay, got a few minutes left. Love all the back and forth on these things. There's some really weird stuff going on in the news. I pulled a lot of headlines that I will put in, um, the recap, and I owe a few recaps, so I need to get all of those in the community. There are some Windows 11 updates and some Android settings to strengthen security. I will link those because those sound like some good things to take a look at. Casio confirms that customer data has been stolen in a ransomware attack. Fidelity had a data breach that leaked 77,000 customers' personal data. Uh, a Using inside info mostly from AT&T, porch pirates have been stealing iPhones pretty much immediately after they've been delivered, and both, Verizon and Sprint pretty much require signatures, but a lot of the times AT&T does not, so that's why it seems to be happening mostly with AT&T phones. I've been seeing a lot of people say, um, that they're just going and getting things at the store because of that, like, they're not even ordering things to be sent to, to their home at all. And Kelly saying actively exploited 0 days. Yes, plural on both Android and Windows because October isn't spooky enough. Yes, Kelly, there are a lot of things on the CISA. Somebody told me it was CISA, not CISA, and I've been, I guess, pronouncing it wrong all the time. They've got 21 industrial control systems advisory, 3 known exploited vulnerabilities to the catalog. Adobe has released security updates for multiple products. Microsoft releases October 2024 security updates. Um, they have an article about avoiding scams after disaster strikes because there have been a ton of scams attempted after Helene, and I'm sure now after Milton. Um, they added, let's see, with the FBI, they've released a fact sheet on protecting against Iranian targeting of accounts associated with national political orgs. Um, okay, funny one about AI summaries. Apple AI in particular. This man learned that he was being dumped via AI summary of text. So, welcome to the new and improved world of AI, slightly dystopian world, maybe. A software developer in New York, I guess, has been beta testing or early testing Apple Intelligence, and it summarized his text messages because he has that feature turned on. And it said, no, had the person's name that was texting him, no longer in a relationship, wants belongings from the apartment, and it kinda summarized the content of several separate breakup texts from his girlfriend. He shared that screenshot on, the social network formerly known as Twitter, and, he said, "For anyone who's wondered what an Apple Intelligence summary of a breakup text looks like," and he posted it, and then, a lot of people responded to it and everything, and it went pretty much viral, and he said, "Yes, this was real. Yes, it happened yesterday. Yes, it was my birthday." So, yay, fun. They asked him how he felt about getting that. He said he felt like it did add a level of distance to it. That wasn't a bad thing, but, yeah, more than anything, it felt unreal and dystopian. So, all right. And, another thing about security, watch your vacuums. Hacked robot vacuums across the US started yelling slurs. Fun. So apparently, this was reported in Australia. There were recently multiple instances, well, actually across the US, but it was reported by ABC News in Australia. Owners of Ecovacs vacuums noticed their devices acting unusually. I mean, that's a little bit of an understatement. And, this one person said that it sounded like a broken up radio signal. You could hear snippets of maybe a voice. So he, opened the app and found that a stranger was accessing the live camera. He assumed it might have been an error, so he reset the password and rebooted the robot, and then it started moving again, and there was a person yelling racist obscenities, and, uh the guy says, "Oh, well, it could have been worse," because the person was doing that and he knew immediately that something was wrong instead of them just spying on them without, them knowing. So, uh, yeah, I guess, Kelly, the some of the vacuums have, cameras on them to kinda see where they're going for obstructions and things like that. And this, Internet of Things, like some companies that make connected devices do not pay enough attention to security. And so we need to hold these types of companies more accountable for things like that. Like my um, electronic lock has the ability to do that, but I don't have it connected because I could lock and unlock with my phone, but it requires an app and you have to pay extra for it. And I'm like, nah, that's okay. I don't I don't need that. I'd rather not do that. And so I make sure that it is, a dumb lock. It's semi-smart, but it's really dumb. And I prefer to keep it that way because I don't want, you know, certain things like that connected. Yes, Kelly, hard pass. Hardest of passes. And Rob is, someone getting into a RoboVac camera. I'd have a lot of fun with that person. Well, I'd be having fun. Their therapy bills, not so much. I would definitely not want to break into your camera, Rob. I'm sure your little ratties would have fun though, terrifying them. That's a good point, Scott. Not only do they have cameras, but they map out the room layouts. I know that, some of them map out the room layout so it knows where to vacuum and where not to, but m mapping out the room layout could give someone, the layout to know exactly where to break in, where to find things. I mean, there's all kinds of things that could happen, and that let's face it, women living alone, that's something they should be aware of because that could be, if you have it in more than one room or you have more than one um, robo vacuum in your home, and let's say you have multiple levels and you have one upstairs in a bedroom and one downstairs in a living room, then you have them connected all to the same app, then they will know where those rooms are located if they do hack it. So, um, really mess with someone trying to break into a smart lock, modify it so that the lock actually unlocks it, etc. And Ross, there was an article about how Amazon was using the room layouts to understand what kind of furniture to best stock for the most common room sizes. Yeah, I don't even use the virtual, like, let's see how this would look in your room because, well, there's really no need to see how a box of dishwashing soap looks in my room. I don't really need to know that. I just need to know if it has the right cleaning ability and ingredients. I don't need to know what a box of citric acid looks like in my room. It's going to be cleaning things. Uh, so there you go. Rob says, jokes on anyone trying to map my place. The vac would be confused enough working around all the decom server equipment, let alone the actual furniture. Mine would vacuum up tufts of cat hair and small Legos. So unless we want to easily get rid of a lot of Legos, not exactly a good idea for us to have one. So we vacuum the old-fashioned way, um, with a stick vacuum. Well, and a big regular vacuum, but that one's heavy. So, Ross says, "It's very useful to know how that beautifully designed box of detergent looks." Yes. I was thinking about saying the old-fashioned way the kids do it, but sadly, they do not often enough for, um, my liking. So, pig would not take to that well. You want chewed on by a rat? It's because pig is how you get chewed on by a rat. Either that or they learn to sit on top of it and they take it over, and then you're really, not in a good place, Rob, because they're going to take over the world. So, pig would commandeer it and then take over your household. Ah, Eufy security camera. So we'll have to look at that as well. Not to mention, remember way back when we talked about Tesla and their cameras, like the side view of the cameras and how they were watching that footage and making fun of things and downloading footage that they shouldn't and all of that. So even the stuff that's supposed to be secure, I don't know. I think we need to hold a lot of companies more accountable about how they use things like that and how they secure things. So, Security Awareness Month is the time to do it. Assemble. All right. We are over time. Thank you all for hanging out this Friday. It's a beautiful, bright blue sky, cloudless day, nice and cool. I hope you have a beautiful day and a great weekend. And we will see you next week. Remember, if you want to talk about SaaS management, I know it's the most exciting, fascinating thing in the world. Come join us. And the Friday after that, just before Halloween, it is time for our annual spooky, scary Tech Tales of Horror. Bring your story, bring your friends, because we are going to do our prizes again. And it's 2 days before my birthday, so of course, I'm gonna be having fun whether you all are or not, but I hope you join us and have some fun, and one of our old show friends is gonna be back because I'm gonna, twist an arm or 2, and, someone who hasn't been on the show in a very long time is going to come back and help us run it. So come back and join us, and, we'll see you again next week. Take care, everyone. Thanks for, uh thanks for having me. Bye.